One moment, please. How's everyone today?
So that's how they're growing so fast. They're hiring.
Excuse me, guys. Hey, Ashley. Nice to see you, my friend. Been a little bit. Selena says, so Yogi Eric. Hey, everyone. Nice to see you, Selena. Raven is here. Hey, Raven. Nice to see you. Raven says, hello to Yogi. That's me. All right. Not exactly sure where to dive in. A lot on my mind. Hey, Susanna. I appreciate that like. So, hey, Kat. I'm thinking about sin. And I'm thinking about error, mistakes. And I'm thinking about upgrading our thought system. What if our anxiety, what if our guilt, what if our um, depression, whatever it is we might be going through, was a mistaken thought system? It's a mistaken thought system. What if we could upgrade a thought system? Turning everything over to, I love the AA slogans. I'm not I don't go to meetings. I went very, very early on in my step into sobriety, more because I thought it would be nice to have that missing social aspect, no longer going to bars. But I realized, and this is just me, if going to meetings works for you to help you live a life of sobriety, um, do what works for you. For me, it was almost like I was seeing one addiction traded for another, a better, upgraded addiction, but an addiction still. And I no longer wanted to be in a mindset of addiction. Let's say I no longer felt called to be in a mindset of addiction. Not that I still don't have my addictions, obviously, we all do. Hey, addiction is subtle. We are addicted to a particular thought system. We're addicted to beliefs that we are small and limited, that we are the thoughts that we think, and that the thoughts that we think are all important, not just for us, but they should be for everyone. And when they're not, we feel disrespected, unheard. Truth is, you're going to hear more just by being quiet, offering space, offering kindness, offering love. Hey, Sissy. Good morning, Ashley. Selena, Raven, Susanna, Cat and Jack, Sniper, and Eric. Good morning, Sissy. So this is Tuesday, but it's late Tuesday for Selena. So that means Tarot Tuesday is already over for Selena, but you can catch the replay. Um, hey, Selena, thank you so much. Yogi Eric is a sexy 6-year-old. Well, to be fair, it doesn't take much to be a sexy 60-year-old. It doesn't take much work to be sexy at 60. You just got to show up. Sniper says, I'm addicted coming here. Well, I appreciate that because Sniper, here, this place, and this place isn't an actual place, it is a heart-centered experience, would not be the same without you, Sniper. Wouldn't be the same without you. You are truly, truly essential. Sosa says, Grand Risings, Grand Rust. Sorry, Selena. Selena, thank you so much, my friend. Selena always knows how to make me smile. Raven says, Selena is future girl. We were in her past. I agree. Selena says, Tarot Tuesday is over and Scroll Sniper live stream at the same time as me earlier. So we are echoes of the past for Selena. Social says, Raven, that is exactly where my mind went. Hey, Karen. Nice to see you, my friend. Raven says, I feel calm being here in a world of turmoil. Well, that's the goal. But here's the larger part of the goal. Sniper says, I have to be on my toes this week. Eric, Eagle Eyes too. What's up for this week, Sniper? So, I love hearing you say that, Raven. But can we, between all of us, build a sense of calm within us and then carry it with us through the day, as well as offering it to others? This is the importance of me for my morning routine. I like to start my day quiet. I don't like a loud, obnoxious alarm. I like something gentle. I generally don't need an alarm, usually up. And then I start my day with gratitude. I've mentioned that in my practice is saying thank you 3 times. And then it's breath work, meditation, yoga, writing and coffee, listening to Cat and Jack in the background, which has become part of my morning routine. You know, if you can start your day off with some loveliness, why not? And then here live streaming, and then I'm out for a walk in nature. That schedule works for me. It might not work for everyone. That schedule helps me maintain my own equilibrium. And here's the thing, when we talk about equilibrium, I realize, by the way, if I keep saying that word, I'm going to stumble over it. So we'll see if I can keep offering it in the conversation. That doesn't mean that you're always even keeled. Doesn't mean that you are always, we're balancing. I've had people say to me, you seem so well balanced. And I've had other people say, well, you're not very balanced. Both are true. I am balancing. I'm not balanced. No one is. We're fluid. As we said with Sissy, what was it last week? We're verbs. We're not nouns. A noun is balanced, it's static. None of us are static. None of us are nouns. We are verbs, verbing our way through life. So don't worry about being balanced. Don't worry about being well balanced. Worry about being well balancing. And find a routine that works for you. If you are experiencing anxiety, if you're experiencing panic attacks, if you are experiencing depression, change something. Kat brought this up. It was Kat, right? Yesterday, Einstein's quote. Paraphrasing, no problem was ever solved with a mindset that created it. You need a paradigm shift. What is your paradigm shift? Course in Miracles offers a paradigm shift, completely so. It is saying your thinking is wrong because you are thinking that you are the ego and the ego is calling the shots, and it keeps you entrapped within an illusory world. And a lot of people don't like that concept, illusory. How can this be illusory? It's so real. So real because we are perceiving it as real. You can shift perceptions. And it's not even important to see. What is important is, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you adopt kindness and forgiveness as your path, you find yourself becoming patient. Let's bring up something different than what I was going to read. Sina says, you are my peaceful yesterday. So that's absolutely beautiful. Sina says, Yogi Eric equals unbalance. Un-Yogi Eric, I am the un-Yogi. Hey, Lucy. But how about a balancing yogi? Do you know? What I do for me is designed to restore me back to equilibrium, moment by moment by moment. I do my best not to get stressed out by my own stress-filled thoughts. I do my best not to get depressed by my own depression. I do my best to not grieve over my grief. Does that make sense? It's okay. It's all okay. Let's do all kinds of reading. Let me bring up the Google machine. You guys heard me read this 1,000 times. Guess what? We're going to read it one more time. Because no one sums things up better than Rumi, the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them all at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So I don't have any control who I'm going to lose. I was with my father the moment he passed away. I was holding his hand. I was telling him that I loved him. I did not want to let him go, but guess what? There was no choice. However, I did have a choice to stay with him. Hey, Shahai. To hold his hand through the night, meditating, offering him love, offering peace to whatever's coming next. I did have a choice the next day to wake up and continue the love for my father, continue to honor my father to the best that I could, and to look for him in ways that I could not see him before. Before, he was limited to a body that was broken down, that was suffering. It was his time to leave that body, to let it go. Did my father leave? Here's the truth, I don't know. But I don't feel his absence. I feel his absence of his body, of his dadness, fatherless. But when I settle, when I sit, I don't feel his absence as an essence. I don't feel the absence of his teachings. I don't feel the absence of his presence. I don't feel the absence of his love. I told you all the story, being worried about my upcoming property taxes, which always suck, guys. I don't mind paying taxes, but it seems ridiculous to keep paying taxes on something you own, right? However, we won't get involved in that. I got a letter a long time ago, months and months ago, that sat on my table unopened because I thought it was just some type of, you get all kinds of people soliciting things. So it just sat there. I was actually talking on the phone to Toy Pups, and she asked me to hold on for a second. And as I was holding, I thought, well, I'll open this. And it was a notification that there was a unclaimed portion of an insurance policy my dad had for $800 and some. But it was late. It was going to go to the state treasury now. But I called to check. And they said, no, we didn't send it. It must have slipped our minds. Something slipped through. So I now have a check on my kitchen table if I ever find a ride to the bank for $800 some, which will help considerably with the taxes. That felt like my dad's presence reaching out. Let me help, as my father always did. So he says, Yogi Eric, but it's okay to miss him sometimes. It is. That's the thing with a guest house. It's all okay. Everything is okay. If you are experiencing it, it's okay. It doesn't mean, though, that you wallow in the okayness. And it doesn't mean you don't wallow in the okayness. It means that we don't have to make things more or make things less than what they are, moment by moment by moment. If you are grieving, grieve. If you are sad, be sad. We don't always need to cheer ourselves up, because that will change. We don't always need to talk ourselves out of grief, because we won't always be grieving. It'll change. Life is in flux. Life is changing. It's a moment by moment experience. That's the thing, again, that I read with Rumi's Guest House. It's all okay. I find myself, it's been 3 years now, still grieving. I find myself grieving the end of a relationship in a particular form and unsure uh, what the next form will be, or if there even will be. Well, there will be something, but who knows what it'll be. I have great uncertainty about what might be next, and am I capable of all kinds of things? I'm not going into detail. Am I capable of man, how do I say it? One, am I capable of creating a sustainable community of love, openness here on YouTube? Am I capable in a personal relationship loving someone who deserves to be loved? Am I? I don't know anymore. You know what? I just don't know. And as we always say, it's okay not to know. You know, in Zen they say, start with the I don't know mind because you're going to end up there anyway. When you don't know, you're open to possibilities. When you're certain, now you only have limited possibilities. You're only certain what you're certain of. I wrote about that this morning. Just allowing myself to be broken open continuously. Selena says, I agree, so I'm going to pray and manifest that Yogi Eric will have property taxes paid. Well, thank you so much. Well, you know, that check that it reached from my father. Let's see. Hey, AH, I maybe Argentina. Y'all were right, by the way. What was I right about? What have I missed? Hey, Dolly. Good morning, Yogi and friends. Peace and blessings. Sorry, guys, I got a little wrapped up. So let me skip what I was going to read about. My endeavor. All of us are teachers of God. Every single one of us. If you don't like the term God, we're teachers of the Tao. We are teachers of spirit. We're teachers of the soul. We teach what we most need to learn. I love the description from A Course in Miracles on the characteristics of God's teachers, which are trust. The first one, trust. Honesty, tolerance, gentleness, joy, defenselessness, generosity, and patience. Faithfulness and open-mindedness. And, hey, Paranormal Walks. So it says, someone take Yogi to the bank. Yeah, I'll ask my brother. I can't do it this Thursday. I got a plumber and an air conditioning person coming, just for checkups. Kat says, yes, Shahai, I always send here with Yogi, which is a gift that I do not take for granted. Sina says, I agree, so I'm going to, I read that, but I appreciate hearing it again. Pray and manifest that Yogi will have the property taxes paid. Soulstar says, chat froze on my end and had to refresh. I'm glad it's not my end any longer. Hey, Redeemer. From impossible to I'm possible. Love it. I love that. Love it. Absolutely. Hey, have you guys been following Serving My Redeemer? Beautiful. He's putting out beautiful music and words. Kat says, hey, speaking of Kat, and speaking of Shahai, if you listen to Kat, she will give shout out after shout out to our friend Shahai and hanging out at her wonderful live stream. Take Kat's word for it. Well, don't take Kat's word for it. Experience it for yourself. Go hang out with Shahai's Kitchen Vlogs. It really is. You're such a warm welcome. Her village food season, man, you're treated like a long lost family member. Such a warm and loving welcome. Shahai, thank you so much for that, and thank you for being here. Kat, thank you for shouting out Shahai repeatedly because she deserves it. So Kat says, of course, speaks about how when you hear your mind, you bring your brothers along with you. When you heal your mind, you bring your brothers along with you. That you cannot, that you cannot know the multitudes that you bring with you. Love that. And it's true. That was something I really wanted to talk about today, and I didn't get around to it. Healing. All healing starts with healing of the mind. I sort of started with it because we talked about Yogi One Smile for Me. Shahai, I cannot help but smile whenever you say that. Man, you make me want to smile. Thank you. That genuine from the heart smile. Thank you so much, my friend. So many of us are experiencing anxiety, some darkness, some depression. Healing's going to look different for each and every one of us. For healing for me did not mean the absence of any of those conditions. It meant having the capacity, not the ability. We all have the ability, but having the capacity to open to that ability, to love myself through whatever it is that I'm experiencing. For me, that's healing. And through that, I find that all of these other issues are so much lighter now. That willingness to just be present and love myself through what is present. Does that make sense? Or am I babbling? Or am I babbling and still making sense? That would be pretty awesome. Sepa says, I'm going through similar aspects of this, but a whole new approach. I'm fighting the system with their own policies. Law must be due process. The key to unlocking stability. Paranormal says, just at work at the moment. Hope everyone is having an awesome day. Thank you, Paranormal. My day is about to get outside in the rain. I don't mind getting out in the rain. I got decent rain gear from my years as an ultra runner, but I see less. Again, I don't understand why beavers don't go out in the rain. They're already wet. That's just them. You know, beavers are known to be industrious, and yet they sleep in when it's raining. What's the deal with that? That's right. I'm calling out beavers. Be there. I expect to see you today. Rain or no rain. If I can get out, you know, I realized once as it was surprise raining, I'm actually waterproof. And yet I put on clothes that aren't. Does that make sense? Anyway, it probably doesn't. Hey, William. William says, good morning, Cat and Jack and Raven. LTQD says, sorry, I missed that. What's the topic of your channel, bro? I don't know. Whatever comes up. Shahai says, Raven, okay, thank you. I'll return. Nice. Glad everyone is reaching out. Kat says, absolutely welcoming and love ALQD and welcome. Thank you, Kat. Social says, Yogi, please explain a bit about pain and disease involving ego and illusions. Sometimes it's hard to accept disease and disorder being of the mind. Well, where else could it take place? All healing is of the mind because only the mind is real. The body is part of the illusion. However, that doesn't mean it's not real. Does that make sense? Only that thought of real or unreal separates. I need to be very careful how I explain this, because if you talk about illusion, it seems to invalidate what people are experiencing. I'm sick. I have a disease. I'm suffering. I'm in pain. And then someone says, but the body is an illusion. And they feel defeated or they feel defensive. How can this, something that feels so real, be part of an illusion? So an illusion doesn't mean that we don't experiencing it as our reality. But when we begin to see, where does the body go when we are in the third stage of consciousness, which is deep sleep? We don't have an experience of the body, and yet we're existing. Only the mind is existing. The fourth state of consciousness, Turiya, cosmic consciousness, Krishna consciousness, pure awareness, aware that we are aware. This is Donovan song, very Zen. First there is a mountain, then no mountain, then there is. First there's the body, and then we have an awakening experience and we see there is no body, and then we get that sense of embodiment, and we see that there is a body, and a body appearing within awareness. So healing takes place in the mind when we realize that the mind is split, that we are choosing the illusion of the ego over the reality of spirit, over the reality of love. That's just the way it goes. Meaning we're always, as long as we're here, we're going to be experiencing the body as real. But we begin to take it as the dreamlike quality that it is, and work on healing the mind, which means just choosing that right teacher, choosing love repeatedly, loving the body through the experience that it's having, loving the experience of having a body, even though we know that it's not substantial. Just looking back at the comment, making sure that I was at least slightly on point. So the body is an appearance within the mind. The world is an appearance within the mind. So everything stemming from the mind means the only healing that can ever take place is in realizing right-mindedness. Right-mindedness is our reality as love. Cat is helping us invoke beavers, manifest beavers, 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 beavers. As I said, they're already wet. Why do I have this vision of beavers out there in rain jackets and umbrellas looking at me and saying, are you happy now? Hey, Hamada. Hamada says, how are you, friend? I'm good. How are you? Hey, Empire. Empire says, what's up, soul? Nice to see you, my friend. So we're going to head out and walk in just a minute. Cena says, Yogi Eric, have a blessed day. Leaving the weird energy in the chat. Blessings to all. Huh, I didn't notice weird energy. Maybe it's me. Cat says, except I hate being cold. Oh, we wear clothes that of comfort. There's nothing wrong with being nude. I wonder if my neighbors would agree. Unless, I don't know, bro. I'd say there's something wrong being nude in certain places. I'd say there's nothing wrong with being nude, but there can be the perception of it being wrong. Sissy says, yes, it makes sense. We absolutely do feel invalidated. The egos feel. The ego. And I love that emphasis you put on egos feels invalidated. When you first have a awakening experience that you are not the body, you want to rush around and tell everyone, guess what? You don't have cancer. You're not the body. Guess what? You don't have whatever, whatever sickness. You don't have anxiety. It's just a thought. And that's true, but it's not helpful. What's helpful is approaching people at the level of their belief, offering them love, offering them kindness, offering them patience, offer them forgiveness. And forgiveness, again, isn't bestowing something upon another. It's seeing them as not their body, not making it real, while at the same time honoring their experience of realness. No one needs to hear you say, guess what? I've had a great awakening. I'm enlightened. I'm almost enlightened. I'm this or I'm that. And guess what? You don't have a body. You're not suffering. Of course they are. Be the light that leads them out. Thank you for coming in, Selena. Kat says only because we are taught shame, and that is a shame and list. Well said, Kat, as always. Rose says, Kat, yes, there's a sadness. There is lack of mountains here. I miss Arizona. First mountains and heat, and surprised when I got snow there, but unsurprising it can be common there. Yeah, it all depends on where you are in Arizona. You know, Flagstaff, it happens probably, well, especially in the mountains, 6, 7 months out of the year. Redeemer says the softest side, I've wrote about that. Of substance and there's path, and least resistance, sustainable, love and joy. Thank you, Redeemer. You always put out such loving messages, my friend. Let's see. And let's says, yeah, Kat, there's definitely things wrong with being nude in certain situations. It's not just a social construct. There can be certain levels of right and wrong. Can there? Or can there just be certain perceptions of right and wrong? You ever seen the Seinfeld episode? They talk about the wrong kind of naked. Like opening up a can of, I forget what it was. Opening up a can of something when you're nude is not pretty to look at. I'd say no one needs to be nude when they're doing jumping jacks. No one should be nude when they're doing burpees. Kat says, the knowing that's only a thought, they become a belief. Yep. It says, yes, there's absolutely levels of right and wrong. That's not a debatable point. Oh, of course it's debatable. What isn't debatable? How can there be a level of right and wrong? Sepa says, fueling through thoughts. Yes. One says, unless two defines right or wrong, short of being nude industrial work where it poses safety risk, there are only assumptions. Yeah, you got to be careful doing industrial work when you're naked. Trust me. You don't want to get certain things stuck in a, I don't know. Let's see. So we have a message held for review. Well, that's the funny thing. Unless tribally, it happens all the time. I agree with William there, but hey, let's not. There's really no point in debating that. Emma says, "Hey, Emma, I'm autistic and I have a lot of anxiety and depression. Well, here's what I can promise you, my friend. Whenever possible, as often as possible, and for as long as possible, we will love you through every experience of anxiety that you have. We will be there for you, my friend. Know when you're experiencing anxiety and depression that you're not alone. You have a host of friends, Kat and Jack being one of the most loving, and I know she provides a space for you every morning. Such an awesome thing. That says, bro, this is insanely wild. A little bit. Kat says, hi, sweet Emma. Raven says, I'm in my 15th day of not having a heaviness around me with this feeling of being watched. Raven, my friend, that is awesome. I know that had weighed you down. I know that darkness was pressing. So I'm happy for you, Raven. I'm relieved for you and continuing to send love your way. Here's a question. Was it me? How did we get started talking about, beavers and me being waterproof? I got to be careful what I say. I apologize, guys. In no way did I intend this conversation to be about the right and wrong of being nude. Guess what? We're all born naked. Soulstar says, bad naked opening a jar of pickles. Jerry Seinfeld. Yes. Thank you. Cat's laughing. Cat says, I think Soulstar is the new best friend. Not a bad best friend to have. So true, William. Jahai says, Phil, Emma, my sweet friend. All right, guys, I'm going to head out and take a walk. I do want to continue this thought because, as Emma reminded me, so many of us are experiencing, for whatever reason, anxiety, panic attacks, depression. Some of us on low levels, and we start thinking of it as sustainability. I can sustain myself through this. But you know what? We don't have to just sustain. We can step into something greater. We can step into the presence of love because it's already there. And then, it's not sustainable. It's just a passing cloud and the reality of the mind. That great blue sky of our isness, who we truly are. So let's work on how do we know? How do we get there? How do we see past these clouds into our blue sky reality? Hey, Maddie. Maddie says, William, hi, mate. Nice to see you, my friend. Kat says, yes, you started this, Yogi. Finger wag. Not the finger wag. I don't deserve a finger wag for that. I was just talking about being waterproof and beavers. Man, he says, love from Chloe. Well, thank you so much, Chloe. I hope you're well today, my friend. Maddie, I hope you're recovering and feeling good. Thank you so much. You guys bring such love into my life. So you guys hear those fingers flying across the keyboard? It almost sounds like I know how to type. But for every clickety you hear, there's a clack of a mistake. So you hear that clickety clack, that means I get one letter right, I get two wrong. And then I'm reversing course. Thank you, Chloe. And Maddie, thank you. Kat says, stop. What? Is it hammer time already? Maddie says, can move my fingers today. Started on healing. Nice. When do you have therapy? Rehab? You guys are laughing. Thank you, Redeemer. Seize the day and make the best of all you offered. Thank you so much. Projecting exactly what it is, a false light. Scroll, you've been so completely on point. Agape Omni Love. Soul says, I'm laughing so flipping hard. Because Kat is calling me out for starting a conversation on the right nude versus the wrong nude. All I said, remember, is I'm waterproof, but my clothes aren't. And it was in relation to beavers. Let's see, William says, but Eric, that is the essence of life. We aren't called to be perfect, but to be beings. What if in our beingness we are perfect? What if we were called to be perfect? And that everything else is an illusion? Everything else is a mistake? So the process of life is realizing our perfection. The process of life is realizing that we don't know from the egoic level what perfection is, but from the level of the Holy Spirit in which we turn to repeatedly, we realize our perfection. If we are infinite love, if we were created in the image of our Creator, how could we be anything less than perfect? Does God create anything that isn't perfect? And anything that is not perfect is an illusion. Realizing what is real and what isn't is the realizing the presence of God. It's bringing heaven to right now. It's discovering, if Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within, don't we find perfection within? Let's see. Manny says, not for another 4 weeks. Have GP tomorrow, hospital Thursday. Yep, we will visit Shahai. And I know Maddie will too. Solso says, we love beavers. Yes, we do. Hey, Mercy. Let's see. Oops, I don't see Mercy. I'm all confused. Let's see. But is it a calling? We could all be perfect innately. Being perfect the default, but we assign our own definition of what perfect should be. Well, that's the thing. Now we're back to the ego, saying this is perfect, but this isn't. Perfection is beyond judgment. It's the ego that makes the distinction. It's the illusion that makes the distinction. Letting go of the illusion is the only thing we have to do. We need do nothing. Great line from A Course in Miracles. We need do nothing. We don't need to be loved. We are love. We don't need to be perfect. We are perfect. However, every viable and valuable spiritual practice is letting go of that which we are not. Cass says the chat messenger is up for sure. Out of order, disappearing messages. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I think that might be a YouTube glitch, and maybe not my end, for once. Nude. Normal until Duck Center. I like it. So, on the last subject of being nude, of being naked. Nah, we'll skip it. Not a Yogi glitch. It happens. Off the shower, have a blessed day. You too, Maddie. I'm off outside. We have invoked the essence of even if they're in raincoats. Shai says, beautiful smile. Thank you so much, Shai. Raven says, bye everyone. Stay safe and have a great day. Thank you guys. It was a weird conversation, but hey, we do our best. We do our best within the weird. I appreciate you guys joining me at this level of weirdness. Thank you so much. We'll see everyone later. Solstice says, agape, omni love, and namaste. Namaste to you, my friend. Thank you guys so much. Everyone says it brightens the day. Thank you. I'm glad we could all laugh together. You know, I'm going to offer something that is invoked by the presence of Squirrel Sniper. Every moment is an alchemical moment. We can use the alchemical process of love, patience, kindness, trust, gentleness, defenselessness, and make it into something better. So we had some weirdness show up, right? And what did we do? We embraced the weirdness. We turned it into love, or we realized the presence of love. And we got to laugh. And there ain't nothing wrong with laughing. All right, guys. I love you.